Welcome to the Astrology for 2017. We're going to go into some of the major themes, astrology themes that's part of 2017 that's going to be playing out. So I hope you have your chart ready, because we're also going to be comparing how these themes are showing up in your chart and whether you are going to be affected or how you're going to be affected. So let's get started. To begin with, I want to do a little refresher about astrology, because I'm not sure how much, where you are as far as understanding astrology, because this is such a complex and deep subject. So this is a basic astrology chart, and it started out. This is like the ideal. Is sort of like the template, and so get my little highlighter out here. So the chart starts out right here. This is the first house, and the way the celestial planets flow through is they flow through this in a counterclockwise motion. So the first, and they've taken and assigned the signs, like, Leo, Cancer, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So in an ideal chart, this is where the positions of everything would be. So we start out with a house, and that the whole pie is divided into 12 houses, and each house has a theme which is related to the sign, and each sign has a planet that it's connected with. So, for example, the first house is related to Aries, and it's about initiation and beginnings, and Aries is related to the planet Mars. And so there's three things to look for in your astrology chart. One is where your planets are located, the houses that they're located in, because there's a theme that goes with the house, and to look for what sign they're located in, because there's themes that go with the signs, and also where, if like, say your sun is in Leo and it's in the 8th house, where is the ruling? Look for these relationships. In other words, if you have a Leo sun that's in Gemini or something like that, you look at where the other relationships are, because they all give clues into what's going on. So, for example, if your sun is in the 8th house, which is Scorpio, ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio is a water sign and Leo is a fire sign, you're going to have some very interesting dynamics here, because water and fire can sometimes make steam, or you can cook things with them. So that's just sort of a basic, kind of a fundamental kind of principles, I guess you could say. So let's start off with the New Year's chart. So you can see that here's the sun. It's in Capricorn at 10 degrees, and right next to it is Pluto, and right on the other side is Mercury. And actually it's not conjunct, but it's close to the galactic center. So we've got these three planets here, all connected. They're in Capricorn, which, and 10 degrees Capricorn is actually amplifying the numerology, which is a number 10. It's a number 10 year. So it's like, here we go. This is another amplification of this year of instant manifestation, Wheel of Fortune type of year. And with Pluto there, it's Pluto is about the secrets and about what's hidden and what lies beneath, and it's about power. And it's at the 16-7, which is the number of the tower of the king. And if you don't watch out, if you get too high on your horse, too full of yourself, you can come crashing down. It's a number of spiritual insights. It reduces to the number 7. So it's like you've got this theme of manifesting and of manifestation, because the sun is like the outward expression. It's like what comes out into the world. It's what comes from within and is and expressed outward. And you've got the secrets and the hidden power that is, connecting with this, and this whole spiritual inner. There's a lot of inner theme here with the Pluto and the number 7. So it's like we're drawing on hidden powers that we have this year. And with Mercury, which is the planet of communication, it's in retrograde. So it's like, instead of talking out there and creating new things with our words, it's like going within and saying, what kind of conversations are we really having? Are these conversations valid? Are they, serving a purpose? So it's about, reflecting on, the communication that's going on. And Capricorn is more traditional. It's like a very grounded. Saturn rules Capricorn. So, it's very down to earth, very grounded, very traditional, and with the old ways, we'll say. And the number 3 is all about being a creative. It's highly creative. It's the product of the male and the female. It's the child of the male and the female. So it's like this filled with potential, and it's social, and it's playful, and it's fun, and it's uplifting. So it's like maybe the theme might be looking at, what kind of thoughts and things can we talk about that are uplifting, that draw on our inner power, so that inner power can be expressed and brought out and brought to earth in a way that is sustainable, is it's functional. And you have then you have the moon, which is right here, and which is in the same house. This is based on Greenwich time, universal time. So it's still in the same house. And if you want to look at that, you've got, you've got the third house and the fourth house. The third house is about communication. The fourth house is about family and the past and history. And, you've also got Saturn right here. He's not conjunct, but, it's close enough to kind of shed a little light on things. It's also squaring. Saturn is squaring Uranus, and it's squaring Jupiter. There's a square right here. And, that makes for an interesting dynamic, because Saturn is about figuring out what's going to work and sifting through all the ideas, all the dross, and figuring out what is actually going to sustain, what's going to, withstand the test of time and the test of functionality. And Uranus is all about breaking with tradition, making change, doing something new and innovative and creative, and looking forward into the future. And Jupiter is and Uranus is in Aries, which is the initiating sign. So it's like we're initiating something. And Jupiter is about, let's bring balance to this whole thing here. Jupiter is the lucky planet, is the optimistic planet, it expands, it's the expansive planet. So it's going to expand whatever it is, but it's saying, hey, let's let's bring balance. Let's find the balance between, the past and the tradition, and where we're going in the future. And let's do this in a way that's going to be functional, and let's work. So the other thing we have going on right here is we have Neptune and Mars conjunct here in Pisces. And Pisces is Neptune is associated with Pisces. They're water. It's a water sign, which involves a lot of what is unseen, the unconscious, the psychic abilities, the intuition, illusions, delusions. It's a lot of dreams and fantasy, and also with Pisces comes a certain element of Christ consciousness and ungroundedness, because water is not very grounded. It flows every which way, so it's an emotional sign. But with the 9, it's like trying to bring this into some sort of a humanitarian pursuit. It's trying to ground it into unconditional love, activate that. And with Mars next to Neptune, it's like there's the passion, there's the desire. It's working past the things we did as kids, and it's growing up into maturation of unconditional love and looking out for others in a way that's kind and gentle and uplifting and nurturing and supporting. So in just a few days, in January 28th, we have the Chinese New Year's, and the Chinese, and this is the year of the rooster. So I don't know if you've ever been around rooster people, but the ones I know they're incredible in the way they can take care of themselves, and they look so neat and precisely. I mean, their self-care is just like impeccable. They can be playing basketball or digging a ditch, and they still look perfect. I don't know how they do it, but they do. So there's a lot of other things that go along with the rooster. But what I want to pull out of the year of the rooster is a year to really look at yourself and really take care of yourself, and do those little meticulous things that you sort of like, oh, forget it. It's not worth it. Or you don't care about it. You don't care about how you look. You don't care about how your hair is. You don't care about, your appearance or how you present yourself. Well, the thing about a rooster is they really can present themselves in such a way that they look very self-possessed. So what I invite you to do this year is take a look at how you can take care of yourself to another level. I mean, pay attention to how you dress. And, you don't have to have, a very expensive wardrobe, but, simple things like making sure your clothes are clean and they're not all tattered and torn. I mean, maybe, you can upgrade a little bit, inexpensively, or you can go out and change your image. There's Carol Tuttle has a program for, dressing your truth. I mean, there's things like that to go and take care of how you appear. Take care of yourself. Get massages, get manicures, pedicures, take baths. I mean, do things for self-care, because what'll happen is when you feel good about how you look and how your body is feeling, and use essential oils and use perfumes. I mean, do things that really make you feel good about yourself, because when you feel good about yourself, everyone else is going to respond to you in such a positive way that you're going to wonder why you didn't do this before. So that's my takeaway for the year of the rooster. So it's interesting because the Chinese New Year goes from the first full new moon after the winter solstice, which is January 28th, and the celebration goes to the full moon, which is on February 11th, which is also going to be an eclipse. So this is going to be an interesting Chinese New Year. So if you take a look at the chart, this new moon is in Aquarius at 8 degrees. So here we go again. We got this number 8 being amplified. This theme of visionary, of infinity, of this connection between heaven and earth. That's one of the things that the number 8 does. It's not only a grounded sign. It's bringing things into manifesting things, creating wealth and all that. But it's also a sign of the infinity and of the connection, the bridge between heaven and earth. So we've got the sun and the moon, which is all about this. The sun, when a new moon is about, going within and coming up with where you want to go next, the next good idea. And in Aquarius, it's about, the future. Where are we going as a species? Where are we going as a planet? Where are we going as cosmic beings? That's the future. And the 8 is about holding the big vision. It's like create a big vision of something that's going to benefit more than just ourselves. It's going to benefit everyone over the long term. So that's, kind of like the theme of this particular new moon and Chinese New Year. And we also have Venus and Mars, which are, polarities, energetic polarities, the feminine and the male. And they're in Pisces, and they're conjunct with each other. And so it's like trying to bring together try to balance these aspects of ourselves, not only within ourselves, our male and female halves, and the way we express ourselves, the male and female way we express ourselves, but also, and then externally with how we relate to men and women in our lives, and to look at it with, to see past the veil of illusions that we've cast on ourselves and cast on other people, and to see them for who they really are, to see the truth of who they are, to see them with a loving and kind heart. So there's other, things going on. We still have the square here between Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. And, we've got some squaring going on between Saturn and Mars and Venus in Pisces. So it's like Saturn is kind of like saying, hey, figure this out. There's a different way of looking at things. And, and Saturn is urging us to figure it out in a different way. So now, get out your astrology chart. And what we're going to do is take a look at how you are being affected. So, this is like a huge, huge, huge science, but we're just going to keep it really, 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 really simple right now. There's, if you have an astrology program, you can actually put these two charts together, and it makes it so much simpler. But what I want you to do is I just want to get a kind of a clue. Have you get a clue of where the push and the pull is going to be for you, and where you are going to be activated, and where you're going to be challenged, and just so you can sort of have a feel. And then if you want to explore into it further, you can certainly do that. So we're just going to take, I'm using a couple of charts um, just as an example, so that you can sort of like figure out how to do this for yourself. So what you want to do is, here is the transit chart. This is the chart for the new year. And here is a natal chart. A little pointer to work. And so the simplest way to do it is, what you want to try and do is line up, where are these planets and where are your planets. So in this particular case, there is a, a, a planet here, there's the moon here, and it so happens that this person has the moon in Aquarius at the same place. So you can sort of rotate your chart so that it sort of matches up, so you sort of have, like Libra is, this isn't quite lined up because charts are all different, but kind of get kind of a sense, just kind of a sense. So then look in the chart, look at where your planets are, and see how, what signs they're in. And don't worry about the houses so much, because that's where it gets quite a bit more confusing. But just see where you have planets, and see, where the planets are in the transits. So this is just a real down and dirty sort of, finding out how you're being affected. So in this particular case, this person has the moon, the transiting moon matches up with her natal moon, and almost at the same degree. That's the other thing to look for. And so at the beginning of the year then, and actually because the beginning of the year sets the tone for, the rest of the year. So this person their moon is going to be really triggered, and I'll go in a little bit later, I'll talk about what the different planets represent. But in this particular situation, she's really going to feel the drive. And since her moon is in the second house, she's going to really feel some drive around, and be motivations about worth and self-worth, and proving herself or not proving herself, or trying to break through, feelings about herself. I mean, it's the moon has to do with your inner motivations and your inner child. And, the inner child is the one that often gets left behind and has to be nurtured and encouraged, and is a very necessary part of who we are as adults. And if we don't acknowledge him or her, then there's a part of us missing. So it's like bringing that together with the moon is like, offering this to bring this together. And since it's in Aquarius, it's also about, building a future, being motivated to build a future that has to do with, since hers is in the second house, has to do with a new way of perceiving wealth, maybe, or a new way of perceiving her value, maybe. I mean, there's different possibilities, and they will ring true once you start to understand that. Okay, here's another chart with another person. So this is the New Year's chart, and this is a different person. And so we rotated the chart to get sort of, so it was sort of similar. So in this particular case, this person has Capricorn at 19 degrees, which is very close. Actually, it's close to the sun. It's a long conjunction with the sun, but it's still close enough, and it's definitely with Pluto. And so this person's Mars is going to be activated by Pluto. So now Mars is already very passionate energy, and it's all about initiation, and it also has to do with your health. And it's your vitality, it's your physical vitality. And Pluto is saying, get your stuff together and draw on your inner resources to activate your health. And then there's also another, okay, where'd you go? Oops. um, I've lost my little pointer. Okay, there's also another activation here. And the Uranus at 20 degrees Aries is activating his Saturn at 23 degrees Aries. So this is going to be very interesting for this person because Saturn, at 23, that's like the unstoppable number. It's the star of the lion. Is like, there's no limits. And so that's kind of like totally opposite of Saturn, which is like, okay, we're going to put things in a box. We're going to put things in a structure. You're going to have a plan, and it's going to, be down to earth. So you've got the 23 and the Saturn. There's already a kind of a conflict right there. So then you throw Uranus in the pot, and Uranus brings that whole element of unpredictability, and it says, throw out the rules, which is totally anti Saturn, because Saturn is about rules and structure, and Uranus says, "Oh, turn the rules on their head, forget about it." So this is going to create an interesting dynamic for this particular person to have this, have Uranus activating his Saturn. So if he's aware of it, he can sort of like temper how he's going to respond, because the 23 is the 5, and it's all about let's just go do it. Just forget about it. Let's just go do it. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. Let's just go do it. And Saturn's saying, wait a minute, put your feet on the ground. And Uranus saying, go do it anyway. So this is going to be interesting. And so if this person understands this dynamic, then he can sort of like temper himself and do the things that are going to benefit and not run off in circles and wear out his life force. And then if he knows about drawing on his deep inner powers to sustain his life force, then he can make changes in his health plans and things like that. So that's how these things kind of play out. This is just, kind of gives you an idea of what to look for. So in this particular chart, there's actually several activations. I'm just looking at, what is basically being conjunct with what is conjuncting in the transit chart with a planet that's in your natal chart. So here again, we have the Saturn and the Uranus. Now they're both in Sagittarius, which is, an upbeat, happy-go-lucky, optimistic, educational, philosophical sign. So, but we've got that push of Uranus to break free from tradition, to find a new philosophy, to find a new plan that's going to make life better, be able to be implemented and brought down to earth. So Saturn is like really trying to take Uranus and say, okay, you can have all your crazy ideas you want, but let's pick some good ones and work with them. Some good futuristic plans, and don't just stay out there in la la land, bring them down to earth. So the next activation she has to do with Mercury, and it's conjunct her Neptune. Neptune here again is the spiritual planet. And it's in Capricorn, so it's like, bringing spirit down to earth. And that's at the number 4, which is also a very earth functional sign or number. And of course, Mercury is at number 3 in the transit. So it's like, here we go. We got a little push pull here. It's like being honest and bringing things down to earth, but let's have fun about it. And, and let's talk about it. And let's think up some new ideas about, let's get through the illusions and tap into the real goal, the real spiritual aspects that can be brought out through communication. and maybe the communication, it goes both ways. You can be communicating about spiritual things, or you could be communicating spiritual things in a down-to-earth sort of way. So there's a lot of different sort of ways you can interpret this, and each person is going to have their own spin on it. So the next activation is actually with her, with a little bit the Sun and Pluto, with the Moon and Mars. So mostly more Pluto and with the Moon and Mars in her chart. So she has the Moon and Mars like right next to us. So I mean, this makes for like a super passionate woman, because the Moon is about the emotions, and when you add passion to it, as like these emotions are not going to just sit there and calmly come out. If you notice, she's also got a Cancer Sun. So, and she's got a Pisces. Where's her rising? She has a Sagittarius rising. Oh no, I was wrong. Her rising is over here. She's got a Pisces rising. So with Jupiter, which expands everything. So, this particular person is already emotionally, very emotionally connected, highly sensitive. And so, you put Mars and the Moon next to each other, and it's like, you've got a volcano, you've got an emotional volcano. So the challenge for this person is to really, figure out how to work through this emotional sea that she's in. She's already highly emotional, highly sensitive to other people. But, and then to have the Sun and Pluto activating this already emotional, she's like passion, this passion that she has for life. It's like she's going to have some real challenges this year to really keep herself in check, because and watch how she expresses her. The challenge is going to be to watch what it is that she's expressing, because this could go both ways. With Pluto involved, it can turn into a power struggle thing, or it can also be hugely transformative in that she can take her inner powers and bring her inner powers out into the world and do something with them, do something useful, do something productive. Her her 10th house, she has Neptune in her 10th house. So she has this ability to take all this spiritual wisdom, this emotional wisdom, and funnel it through her intuition, her psychic abilities, her ability to communicate through her career. Excuse me. Okay, so let's get into some of the planetary meetings. So, because we've been talking a lot about the planets, and it really helps if you kind of have a grasp of what they actually mean. So the Sun is actually, it's the way you express yourself. It's your outward expression of your energies. It's associated with Leo, and Leo is all about self-expression in a big way. So, and that's what the Sun, look at the Sun in our sky. It's what illuminates our world. It brings warmth to our world. It nourishes and nurtures. And so the Sun, so if we look at the Sun in ourselves, where our Sun is, that is how we express ourselves. That's how we shine a light on the world. It's how we nurture the world. And, and it's how we sustain ourselves. So it's a channel of all the expressions. It's all the energies in the chart. And it's like how we shine. It's how people see us. The Moon represents the divine feminine, the mother, and the inner child, and the deep drives and motivations and our emotions. And it's associated with Cancer. Mercury is a planet of communication and technology. It's associated with Gemini and Virgo. And it, depending on how it, whether it's Gemini or Virgo, Gemini is more of the storyteller. Virgo is more of the detail-oriented, perfectionist type person who likes to delve down into something deep and take it all apart and then put it all together because now they know how it works. So that is the blessing side of the details. Venus is the planet of love, and she represents, she's the goddess of love in Greek Roman mythology. And she represents beauty and wealth and abundance. She's it's a very earthy energy, very sensuous, and loves creature comforts and food and soft and silk and those things that are very earthy, comfortable. She is the feminine aspect, and she's associated with Taurus and Libra. So now Taurus is more of the very sensuous, earthy sort of energy, and Libra is more of the balanced, more of the goddess type energy, in the sense that, and it's more of an authority and finding the peace and the love and the balance through balance. Mars represents passion and energy and action. It's the male aspect. It has a lot to do with our physical vitality. So, how Mars, where Mars is in our chart, can also have a huge influence on our health and our vitality and how we express ourselves and the vitality with which we express ourselves. It's associated with Aries. Jupiter is the planet of rewards. It's the biggest planet in our solar system. So it's all about expansion and abundance and luck and optimism, and is associated with Sagittarius, which is, the sign of wisdom and the philosopher and the adventurer. Saturn is the teacher and the taskmaster. He urges us to learn our lessons well and become strong by overcoming challenges. So he's associated with Capricorn. Now, Uranus is the rebellious planet. It's like break with tradition. It has a futuristic look. It's a futuristic, humanitarian, for the well-being of all, a utopia type thing. And it relates to electrical systems, our nervous system, lightning, electrical things, and is associated with Aquarius. And Neptune is the planet for spirituality, illusion, and psychic abilities. And it's easy to get sidetracked with Neptune because of its ability to delude ourselves and lead ourselves down a path that is not exactly the best direction for us. It's associated with Pisces. And Pluto is the planet of hidden secrets and hidden powers and strengths. It's associated with Scorpio. So now you've kind of got a little bit of a feeling for what you're looking for. Go ahead and take your chart and compare them to these charts. You're going to have these slides. So you can take and compare your chart with these slides and make notes of what planets are affecting your natal planets. And, what themes are being activated and playing out for you by these activations. And then another question is an important question is, how are you going to take care of yourself this year? How are you going to become a rooster in the way you take care of yourself, even if you aren't a rooster? So I want to leave you with those thoughts to contemplate. And we are going to move on to discuss the eclipses in relation to the astrology. And then I will go into do the human design transit themes and the human design eclipses themes.